report. So you've had about a 40% increase in the number of inmates, but you've only had about a 29% increase in your construction costs. So it shows you that Mike and them have done a really good job building efficiencies in there. And it's not only the building costs where the efficiencies you're going to find. The biggest challenge y'all had when you hired us was, how do you build this jail? You have the dollars to do that, but you're not so sure you got the dollars to operate it going forward. And this is a very, very efficient staffing jail. So you'll be very pleased when we get around to doing the operational costs and all that. But it's very well, so the jail building, the judicial facility, the jail connector, logistics and vehicle storage. Total square footage right now is about 105,000 square feet. That's a little over 30,000 feet greater than what we started with in our original program. Most of that is in the jail, but it's also in the courthouse because we've added a fourth courtroom. What we found is we really used the user groups was that not only were you operating the jail very efficient, the courthouse they were doing double duty in places, and they needed more room. And once they justified it to us, we felt comfortable going that direction. So where are you today on the cost component? We think that the construction cost for the total for 105,000 feet is roughly $31,700,000. That's roughly $7,000 more, $7 million more than what the original program showed. But as I said, everything's about 40% greater, but only about 29% up in cost. So you get a good buy. We think that if you begin to narrow it down some, you're going to wish you hadn't long term, because this is a 50-year project. And we feel like that your staff has done a great job of balancing the wants and the needs. And we settled on these square footages as a group, and we think it's a good buy. So with that, I'll stop. And again, I'll echo Mike's. It was a very hard presentation to put together. If you've watched it, Mike looks really pretty in there, but you can see I've sort of taken to growing my mask, and so I didn't appear on the video. In any event, it was a good way to do it. It was a learning lesson for us, but we're here to answer any questions you might have that have come up from that report.
I was going to speak a little bit, whoever needs to, about, I know we talked at length in your public meeting, you talked about inmate growth and kind of where we were, why we were at 25, why the numbers show we need to be a little bigger. Obviously, we've, through talking with the user groups, basically the people that got to operate the building, we've drawn back to that original number. But talk a little bit about how the growth came about and the room for growth in the future.
Okay.
Because obviously we're dealing with a 50-year jail, like we're talking about, and hopefully a 50-year jail complex.
Right.
Busting at the seams everywhere now.
So I'll take the first part of that, and then I'll let Mike talk about the future. The original study we did that was based on your crime statistics showed that your jail should be somewhere between 180 and 200 from a census, daily census. Hard to justify because you're currently running about a 70 person daily census. And if everything remained the same, why would you go up more than 50%? So that's why we settled on 125 at the time. But it was recognized in the report that a lot of things had to fall in line for you to maintain that long term. And in meeting with the user groups, both the Sheriff's Department, the VA, the court system, it became readily apparent that they are concerned about two things. One, their ability to continue to operate the way they are and keep the people of Pike County safe. And two, what might happen to the state prison system. And so a lot of earnest debate, a lot of conversation about where the right number was. But early on, everybody within the user groups was narrowing somewhere around 175 because they did not want to be full day one. And if something changed and they were full day one, everybody's going to look pretty stupid. And we agree with the logic to get them to the 175. Now, it's expandable without any additional construction to what number, Mike?
204.
204. So
It's actually expandable to greater degree than that, but when you start expanding above 204, you start giving up a little bit of your constitutional compliance and your your ACA, American Correctional Association guidelines piece. This facility would support 204 and a little bit more with if you wanted to accredit it, if you don't. But if you wanted to get an ACA accreditation standard, you would support up to 204 inmates. It's got the capability to house in a fully double bunk capacity over the next 25 years, and up to as much as 250 inmates. Okay? How do we do that? Well, we keep that constitutional occupancy by sizing our rooms, our cells, so that we've got 25 square feet of unencumbered space in them times 2. So we know we can double bunk every space. We know we can double bunk every dorm piece in there. And so constitutionally and legally, you've got, without any bricks and mortar cost, and in fact, without any additional staffing cost, you can grow up to those numbers in the next life cycle for this facility.
In the long term, we went out 30 years in our original report on the crime statistics, and they never approached 250. So even if you begin to get state inmates, or whatever may happen statewide, you're in good shape. It doesn't make a lot of sense to try to grow it much past where they've designed to, because then your staffing component's going to go way up disproportionately to the number of inmates that you add over the 204 or the 250.
And I will tell you that in our recent history, doing feasibility studies for the last 2 and now 3 major from the ground up jail facilities, the initial study numbers that you all did, okay, we tracked those numbers, and those initial study numbers were indicative of the same kind of potential for growth. And so, whereas, we're designing, we had occupant loads at 70, and the day we were going to occupy, depending on the time of year, in other facilities, they're at 90, which track our projections. And so if you build it, they'll come. That theory does exist in the jail industry. And so with that being said, we think that it is a very wise decision for you to approach this at the number that you are now.
Well, I think everybody is pretty close ready to go. So what we need to do as a commission, all 6 of us, the administrator and the attorney, to sit down and we'll discuss it at a special meeting, executive session, and after we do that, is let them get started. We all had to sit down together and discuss this. Been 1-on-1, 2-on-2, and so we as a commission need to sit down as a whole, all 6 of us, and talk about this before we make a decision. Because I think Ken and Mike, they're ready.
So what we need to proceed by our contract and by the architect's contract is we're trying to move from schematic design to design development. Right. And it required that the commission, staff or commission, provide written notice of their approval to proceed based on the schematics submitted. You'll have the exact same requirement between the design, development, and construction, and then the exact same time between the end of the construction documents and before we bid. So this is the process that we're working on, and we're ready when you are. Whether it's vote tonight or vote at your next meeting, it doesn't really affect our schedule. Mike and them are proceeding on with what they can, and so we're asking for that. We also, I think it's on the agenda, McKenzie, I didn't look at it, but for approval on the demolition bids, so we can start taking down more time.
Anybody else?
Is that notice to proceed a certain form you provide has certain
No, sir.
language, just,
No, it just,
you just need a common sense, go ahead.
Adam, most of the time, they just take the sentence out of the contracts. I'll send that to you.
Okay.
And it just is, on such and such date, the commission approved the move from schematic design to design development based on contract articles. So
All right.
I'll send that to you.
Commissioner Copeland?
One more thing, I don't want to take this for granted that everybody knows kind of how we got here, because you talked about it. Talk specifically about, we hired you guys to do the study, and when we came up with what we thought we needed to do. We talked a lot about user groups, but talk a little bit about how that process went out to get us from where we were to where we are now, for the benefit of.
Okay. So when we were hired to do the feasibility study, we met with members of the user group, but mostly we collected the data because we wanted the data to reflect what the report showed. Many times when you are as close as the judges and the sheriff's department, that is, you forget about the data because you think you know it intuitively. And what we found was that y'all are a model of how the jails and penal system ought to be working, because you had crime statistics that showed you ought to have 150 to 180 to 200, depending on the years you go out, worth of jail, and you were doing it with a jail that was built for 40. And you had a census basically of somewhere between 60 and 70. And in talking with the users at the time, and in talking with the commission at the time, the consensus was that we wanted to try to stay within a reason, so we recommended, based on the data and on the meetings, 125 bed that was expandable to about 180, 185. And frankly, the way y'all are operating, you could have supported that and probably gone fine with that. But as we started through the design process, we had very formal user groups. We had members of the administrative staff. We had members of the judicial staff. We had members of the sheriff's staff. We had, who else, Mike? It was...
Well, you had all the circuit clerk, DA's input. We had 2 full days. The first day was very, very efficient because of the way you arrange things. We had the first full day, which was the preliminary gathering of data, okay? And all of that, we tracked against the original programming information
that was in the
original design. Well, when we tracked that, and we tracked the requirement for instance, the court facility and its operation, and we've got another courtroom in this piece. We've got 2 visiting judges' chambers that were not considered in any of our original approach. We had facilities, right now, I think in the circuit clerk's area, we were more efficient than the original program area. In the DA's component, we were more efficient. The sheriff's office grew some, but in order to keep our footprint in our building, what we did is we took some of the functions, and you may have noticed we were very specific about that in the presentation. We took like PT rooms and SRT storage and things of that nature and put it in a way less expensive logistics facility that also had commission file space storage and things and the storage for voting machines and so forth. So during all this process, and I will have to say this, your staff, judicial staff, everybody, it was almost like they were self-policing themselves. Because there was discussion about 4 courtrooms, and then there was discussion about an assembly room for juror assembly. Well, we reached the decision, and quite frankly, your judiciary reached the decision that let's just take one of these courtrooms, and we don't need an assembly room, and let's be very efficient in how we operate. So all of those efficiencies, they sort of brought to the table for us. And so the program was refined up in areas where it needed to be, but it was refined and down in areas, and then we made the decision to take some of those program pieces and move it into much more affordable construction on buildings. So the first one of those meetings, we resolved that and collected that data. The second, not quite an all-day meeting, but the second meeting, we sat down with each and every one of them again. We validated the program input for them. We validated how we could save space or do this or do that elsewhere. And in that second programming meeting, that's how we evolved this program with the kind of efficiencies that we had. And I think if you will touch base with all of those components and those parts of your government, I think they're pretty satisfied, but they were also very careful about spending money wisely.
And Chad, if you remember, the very first report was done with the existing courthouse being replicated, basically, either remodeled or replicated. And it wasn't until we got into the conversation about an alternative site, an off-site solution, that the courthouse probably wasn't as programmed as well as the jail. And you can see that in the numbers because the jail, very efficient, moved from 125 to 175. The courthouse grew, 12,000 plus square feet, 1,000 square feet. A lot of it was in the fourth courtroom, but a lot of it was just extra space where they were stacking stuff on top of each other and just needed extra space. I can't espouse enough that many of our clients never figure out the difference between wants and needs. Pike County understands the difference between wants and needs, and they've got all of their needs and a few of their wants within what we think is a reasonable goal.
Anybody else? Okay. Man, we sure thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Engineer. Good afternoon. What we leaving, sir?
We have 2 items under current business that we're asking for you to vote on tonight. One is just we have an employee that's reached the 6-month, successfully at the end of the 6-month probationary period, so we're requesting to make him a permanent employee. And the other is the award of the second round of resources projects that are on your county transportation plan commission. Of course, those have various project numbers there. You can see there in your agenda package, we did have a few alternates in there. So the base bid, the low bidder was Wiregrass Construction, and the base bid is $3,795,951.17. And then we're also, we're recommending you award the base bid along with alternate number 1 and alternate number 3. And so those alternates added, the total would be $3,919,053. And then beyond that, we do have a couple of new items tonight. One, we handed out a letter of resignation to you, which was provided to us after your agenda packet was put together last week. So we request that either you suspend the rules tonight and allow us to advertise to fill that vacancy, or we can bring it back to you at your next meeting. And then the other item that we have is, we've been cleaning up after the storms that came through a little over a week ago. And I think there's a SWAT through the middle of the county that appears to be, about the equivalent of a Category 2 hurricane. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, they continue to say for most of the straight line winds, but those winds were anywhere from 85 to 90 miles an hour. So, very powerful winds that came through.
And so, I know y'all have been out surveying some of the damage, but, after cleaning up after that, trying to get the roads open and trying to clean up some debris, the past week or so, it has become apparent to us that, either we're gonna have to get some help to clean that debris up, or else we're just gonna have to dedicate our road crew to just cleaning up storm debris for several months. So, we do have a, sort of an on-call contractor. It's not technically their name, but through the ACCA joint bid program, we do have a debris removal contractor that's, a pre-disaster contract is what it is, and so they're already under contract. Mr. Reed can speak more to this, but we don't know yet whether we'll get a disaster declaration. So what we're proposing is for you to authorize us to go ahead and issue a notice of proceed to that contractor through that program, and allow them to help us clean up storm debris up to a certain dollar amount. So what I would recommend would be, if we don't get declared, about $100,000. If we do, maybe $150,000. And so I guess the request is to take the funds out of your license tax rainy day fund, unless there's another.
That's
But I don't
75,
know if another.
that's 75, 25 match, correct?
Yes, sir. If we do
get
declare, right, and get assistance from FEMA, they cover 75%. Usually, the state will pick up some of the other 25%. But I have no idea, I don't know if Reese does, but I have no idea whether they'll do that. So we could be on the hook for 25%, or the last disaster that was declared, it was split evenly. So the county was covered 12.5%, and the state covered 12.5%.
I don't mean to interrupt, but we can cover some of that with in-kind services, such as volunteer fire. All the stuff they came out and did, they did a lot of cutting and tossing of stuff out to clear roads, so we can utilize some in-kind type services too. That have to be necessarily all cash match. And the state, I don't know if they'll pick it up or not, pick up or help us with any of it. I got that point yet, but we'll also request for a declaration.
Russell, if we can get declared and we get borrow that money from we transfer that money from the lodging tax over to and if we did get declared, that money will be replaced back. That will get declared. So.
Yes, sir. That's right. Okay. Anybody else? Chad?
Just a quick question to make sure, scope, so now we've got a lot of trees that are cut up on the side of the road that are ready. All right, there's a lot of trees that still have to be cut up. I'm assuming this contract is gonna do 100%. I mean, they're gonna do, if they go to that area, they're gonna cut up as well as remove, right? Or are we still gonna have a crew that's gonna get it into, in a way that they can load it?
Well, there may not be as much to cut up at that time, because what we're doing this week is our goal is to go through and get everything outside of the clear zone on the paved roads, so that it's not a safety hazard. Some of it's still up close to the edge of pavement. So in doing that, we'll cut up a lot of it, and we'll move some back and haul away what we can this week. So to answer your question, that is my understanding of the way the contract is put together. That's part of the contract.
We'll cut it up as well.
If something's still needed, they will cut it down and remove it, and not just.
Now that specifically, there's a separate item for that. If there's a dangerous limb hanging, or if there's a stump that needs to be cut or something like that, they will do that. Yeah, there's actually separate items for those things.
I guess the real reason I'm asking, we don't want to have, all right, we've had this contract to go through, and we're still having to send our crews back and do more work, and obviously,
They will turn back to the major work, wouldn't they?
Yes, sir.
Major job.
What I envision is, you know, there's a swath through the county where, you know, where the debris is worst and where we got hit the hardest, I guess you could say. And so, you know, as far as I know, what we would want to do is just have the contractor help us in the hardest hit areas. So move through that swath, the first pass, and get paved roads, and then come back through to get the dirt roads. And so what I envision is the contractor cleaning up everything in that area, within that area that we assigned to them, and then everything outside of that will be cleaned up. A lot of it has already been cleaned up by our crew, but you know, we'll continue to operate our scout truck, you know, with the dumper boom loader and clean up those areas.
Commissioner Rogers?
We're gonna make sure now that, I know some paved roads I saw that cut off, but it didn't go beyond the right of way. If it's partial still on the right of way, then, we're gonna need to make sure they cut it back to the right of way. And that way it'll be off the, not the right of way, but landowner's property. And just a lot of places, like, Rotary roads, stuff like that, especially in the flats, a lot of the trees busted off and some of the street, like you feel close to the right of way.
Well, we can't clean up anything that's not on the county right of way, so we won't go onto the private property, but we'll clean up everything on the right of way. So in a case like that, it would be pretty much cut off of the line. I think that's what you're getting at.
Mayor?
I think we need to talk about this, because I know, at least in the parts, the districts that were hit so hard, and especially, and Oliver and I talked about this some, and I asked, asked this question to EMA, I don't think we got a good answer yet, but especially if we get the FEMA disaster declaration, we've got a large portion of the county that, you know, there's just as much debris that's on the side of the roads in an 80-year-old individual's front yard that they've got nowhere to dispose of it. And there's been a lot of calls about if I can get this out by the road, when you come clean up the right of way, can you haul it off? And how can we handle some of that? Because it's been something that's been asked of all of us in that hard hit area. And how have we handled that in the past, like when Opal came through? I know I was told we worked back then on residential issues, but if it was farmland, timberland, hunting property, you know, it was just, you're expected to dispose of it on your own property. But how can we work, is there a way to work some of that in this? Especially like the Goshen, they're torn hard, they don't have public works to even get up the stuff out of the city streets. And is there a way to work some of that into this?
Yeah, if we do get assistance from FEMA, then we could do that. They do allow that. They don't pay for us to go on to the private property and get it, but they will allow, usually for a limited amount of time, to clean up that debris. So in other words, if we were to get declared, you know, I don't know what time limit they would put on that, but for a while, for maybe a few days, for example, we'd be able to pick that stuff up that comes out of people's yards. But then after a certain point, no more of that. Just to safeguard against, you know, people bringing stuff that wasn't caused by this storm.
With you.
And I may be fast forward, but I think we've talked a lot about if we get declared, Mr. Herb, give us an idea of where we are on that.
We're gathering all of the information. There's, every county in Division B, which is 10 counties, had damage from this storm. So the state EMA, they were down here, I think it was Monday or Tuesday after the storm. I'm sorry, I don't remember the day, but we rode down toward the ocean and come up across toward Brundage and all. They feel very confident we're going to reach that threshold that we need to reach with FEMA. The other thing that's gonna help us with that is they have clarified that, all the electric co-ops, any damage they have, stuff they have, we can count that toward our threshold. So we're gathering that information. So for us, the city of Brundage, I did talk to Mayor Goshen, you know, he said they could, if they knew they were gonna get reimbursed, they could fund some money to get a contractor to come down there and help too. So we're trying to put all that together. The university has some dams that can be added to it, and then of course the co-op. So, like I say, they're, based on my conversation with Ricky Adams and Jessica, our division coordinator, everybody's trying to get their assessments, or preliminary assessments to them first next week, so we can go ahead and file for that disaster declaration.
So from what I'm hearing, you're fairly confident that we'll get that declaration.
Based on my conversations with them, and based on, and Jessica's done, and Richie's done more assessment than other counties than I have. Some counties have way more damage than we do, some of the southern counties below us. But we feel very confident where we're at right now.
All right. How quick can we move on? We got a short time.
Sir?
Russell, how much more you got?
I'm done.
All right. Whatever we got left for Russell, let's ask you at the regular meeting, please. Okay. All right. EMA?
Well, part of mine's already done. So, that was all. Are there any questions about the disaster declaration? At this point?
We'll come back at the regular meeting and ask what we have to ask.
The other thing I got is an update on COVID-19, that number continues to grow in Pike County. I think, at the end of the day, I looked tonight, 65 cases, and of course continues to grow, and I think all of you probably either watched or heard the governor's, address today, so, any questions about that, and what's going on with the governor's order?
If we have any, we'll come back at the regular meeting with them.
And lastly, I'd just say about COVID-19, we're doing good as far as PPEs here in the county. Everybody's got what they need right now, we're getting that, we're not seeing a shortage of anything in this particular time.
Thank you. We got anything to add?
No report.
Okay, any commissioner have anything they need to say at this time? Okay, Administrator, quick.
I'll just give y'all a short version now.
Yeah.
I'll have more at the meeting. First, there's a couple of different, it's kind of grants, funding opportunities that are due to the COVID-19. We're gonna have be able to be reimbursed for some of the election expenses that, for the next two elections, this runoff and the one in November. Working with the product judge on getting some prices together. We've got to go ahead and gather all that information, get it ordered, and get reimbursement sent in by June the 12th, which is a whole, month before the next election. It's the same way in October for the November election. I'll give y'all some more on that at the regular meeting. We have a emergency supplemental funding program for law enforcement that we have become eligible for. It's for about $58,000, I believe, but we're doing some research on what we can and can't purchase and do with that money right now. Third, we have personnel for the sheriff's department. You have in front of you a resignation from one of the sheriff's deputies. I believe that's all that I have on that. I just did not have any time for it to go into your package, but they had called and told me that we would be receiving it. He's not able to do anything else with it right this moment, so that's all there. Fourth, I don't have it on the agenda, but it came to the sheriff's department. They've had some issues with getting fuel when it's after hours. They can't get into maybe at the road department sometimes at night, or if they're down, the pumps are down, or even when they go out of town. They have a fuel card system, credit card system, I guess, but they need another way to purchase gas. The card that they have, it only works in a couple of gas stations here in Pike County, and I believe they both close at about 8 o'clock at night. So when they need something in the middle of the night, they have no way to get fuel, so they're wanting to change over to, it's called the WEX fuel card services, and it's approved through a contract with the state. It's on the state contract list, and they're wanting to look at doing that. I can give you more information on that later, and we can move that to the next meeting to look at that. Of course, they would still get all the fuel that they could out of the road department. It's just a better price, but this would allow them to go to a whole lot more gas stations across the state. And they during the time. Under current business, there's the COVID-19, and I'll have more of an update on that at the regular meeting. And that's all that I'm going to, well, also under current business for the jail, we have the demolition bids. You have got a letter in there for recommendation from TCU on who they are recommending that we use to do the demolition over at the Dunbar property and getting ready for the new jail and jail complex, judicial complex. And I'm sure if y'all had any extra questions on that, we can touch up on that. Other than that, we can go in more depth at the regular meeting at 6.
Okay, let's do, and I guess I'll ask the question at the break right quick. We're only going to have about a 5-minute break. So let's go ahead and end the work session now. So we'll come to a close, and we'll reconvene in about 5 minutes for the regular meeting.
Troy Cable Security makes it easy to stay aware and stay in control of your home wherever you are. User-friendly interface allows easy navigation for lights, locks thermostat, video and garage doors. Never worry about leaving your garage door open or the front door unlocked. Your mobile app can send alerts to your phone for alarm and no alarm events. Know when your children arrive home from school with video response. Make sure your home is powered by Troy Cable Security for ultimate access, awareness, and protection.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you were out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Troy Cable is the leader in smart home security, giving you solutions to monitor, protect, and automate your home. Troy Cable Security keeps your property safe with 24/7 professional monitoring and emergency response. Control thermostats and lighting remotely, which allow options for saving energy and money. Control access to your home remotely with integrated controls for door locks. You can even add our smart home cameras, which allow you to see what you care about instantly. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Troy Cable Security makes it easy to stay aware and stay in control of your home.
Y'all give her a big hand. If you get hungry, there's food that sips. And then we got B. Graves. And we got Mama Goldberg's over here. So if you get hungry, you got plenty of food around. Ready?
Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Hey, what's the thing? Alright, I just want to say thanks to everybody for coming out. This is really cool that the community's doing this thing on the square. So I'm going to start my set off with a Chris Stapleton song, and it's called Baby I Was Wrong. I've been thinking about my thoughtless words. I know just how much they must have hurt, and I'll take it back. Won't you let me take it back?
know I told you that I don't love you. I'd be better off with someone new, but I'd take you back. Won't you let me take you back? Girl, you know that I still love you. And you know that I'm so alone. I don't know why I told you that I didn't need you. Can't you see that, baby, I was wrong.
That was cheating! You're right! You cheated! Quit being it! That's right!
What I wouldn't give to be your lover again. All I wanna do is touch your skin, yeah, yeah. If I had you right here, right now, I'd tell you, tell you, tell you, I'd tell you. Now girl, you know that I still love you. And you know that I'm so alone. I don't know why I told you that I didn't need you. Can't you see that, baby, I was wrong.
You're still right!
Thank y'all. This next song, it's a song that Sturgill Simpson covered. I'm a really big Sturgill Simpson fan, and this is called Long White Line. Won't be around this old town anymore for a long, long time. Gonna hit the road, start looking for the end of that white line. Gonna hit the road, start looking for the end of that long white line. When I woke up, my baby was gone. Without her, I ain't got no home. Gonna hit the road, start looking for the end of that long white line. Hit the road, start looking for the end of that long white line. Went to the bank to get my dough. I don't care where I go. This old rig is humming and rolling. She's doing fine. If somebody wants to
COVID-19, guide us and lead us, give us your wisdom to work through these issues. Lord, we ask you these and all things in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show that all commissioners are present. Approving of the last meeting's minutes. Motion by Commissioner Barron. Second by Commissioner Wright. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Approving of the claims.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Harris. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Engineer report.
Mr. Chairman, we first have the personnel item under current business, which is the request to approve the employee that has successfully reached his 6-month probationary period.
Mr. Chairman, I put that in motion.
Motion by Commissioner Barron,
Second.
second by Commissioner Johnson, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
And then we have our recommended award of the second round of CTP projects, beginning with PCP number 551319, of the base bid and alternates 1 and 3.
The awarding of the bid,
The wiregrass construction.
Wiregrass Construction, okay.
I'll put that in motion.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Copeland, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
And we also have a resignation, the other resignation that was provided to you, so, and we also have the request to issue a notice to proceed to our debris removal contractor under the ACCA program.
Now, both of these items are not on the agenda, we need to suspend the rules for those. Have a motion to suspend the rules by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Wright, requires a roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Motion carries. So we need a motion to accept the resignation and then,
And to approve advertising for a replacement either operator 1 or 2.
can you give that? Commissioner Wright has made that motion. Question?
Repeat that again.
To accept the resignation and to approve us to advertise for replacement for that individual at either an operator 1 or operator 2 classification, depending on qualification.
Okay, that went in the motion to,
Yeah.
no, it was just in the motion to accept the
Resignation.
resignation, not to hire
That's why I asked you to give it that addition of the motion.
in that motion.
He changed it. Commissioner Wright changed it. To, I asked him, was he good with it adding the advertise? So it's also going to add the advertisement for a new employee to replace us.
I didn't hear it.
Yes, sir. Okay, you all right?
I'm all right, but I didn't hear in the motion.
All right, let's restate the motion to make it clear. Okay, so this is going to be to accept the resignation of Mr. South, and then also to advertise for a new employee.
Operator 1 or 2.
That's the motion I need, and Commissioner Wright has made that motion.
Second.
And it has been seconded by Commissioner Johnson. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Our second request is to issue a notice to proceed and enter into a contract with our pre-disaster debris removal contractor for Region 3, ACCA Region 3, and to authorize the use of that contractor up to $100,000 to be funded with the lodging tax, emergency, rainy day fund, or in the event that we're declared and receive FEMA assistance, then that amount would be $150,000.
Everybody understand the motion? Question?
Also put in there that money will be replaced.
Yes, sir.
In this motion.
Right. Any reimbursements received from FEMA or anybody else, any other entity, will be used to replace the money that is taken out of the rainy day fund.
Okay. Commissioner Copeland?
Yes, so, I guess, just for clarification's sake, so right now we're saying we're not going to allow residential people to put debris on the right of way unless we get a declaration?
Well, we haven't addressed that yet, so I didn't address that in my
I think we need to, I would like to put out that we would need to set up and publicize a time once you got with this contractor and knew he was going to be here. And it doesn't need to be, hey, they're coming Thursday on Tuesday. I mean, we need to give people, I mean, it takes not everybody's got a tractor and a team of family to go cut up the country and get it out by the road in 2 days. I mean, we need to give people 2 weeks' notice, a week and a half or something, that this is the 7-day period, they're gonna do that while they're here. But if we said vegetative debris only caused by the storms of 4/27, or what would go with that? That would, that's weekend prior.
It was the 23rd, I believe. April 23rd.
But let it know it's not tin and shingles, it's vegetative debris.
19.
19.
Yeah, we're all on our days. It was the 19th. I mean, there was another storm on the 23rd, I think.
Missing so many.
Well, and that's kind of the point of what I was asking too, Mr. Chairman, because I mean, we either need to vote to do it or not to do it. I think we should. I mean, I think we should give notice because there's a lot of, I mean, I know we can't afford to do this every time a storm blows through, but something of this magnitude. And hopefully we're going to get some reimbursement. Maybe we can expand that program. But however we word it, to try to limit our ability, you can't pick up. You know, it blew your shed away, so just get your shed on right away.
And my first request for the first motion is kind of wordy, and you know, to keep out of confusion, I might recommend handling those two under 2 separate motions.
Why don't we just say it's disaster debris, and that way that covers the whole thing. And that way they can't go out there in the house and get something right to run it on.
Well, I think that, yes, sir, the major points there are, it needs to be only vegetative debris caused by this particular disaster coming out of a residential property, not agricultural property, not a pecan orchard or a pine plantation or any unimproved natural areas or anything like that, only out of people's yards.
And I know it changes, I mean, just for clarification and question too, correct me if I'm wrong, you know, but if we're picking up anything other than just trees and that sort of thing, it totally changes where we've got to go dump that.
That's correct.
That's correct. And we are searching for places in the county that will allow us to dump some of this in safe and environmentally correct places.
Yes, we don't want to enter into that category. That changes the whole ball. So we're just vegetative debris only is what we're doing.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Russell, what are we planning on putting this large amount of debris at? You have a plan?
Well, we've got a couple of landowners right now that have allowed us to dump on their property, and we do have a burn pile on county property that we typically dump on. And then if you allow us to enter into or to hire this contractor, then I think where they dump is really supposed to be at our approval. So I can't fully answer that question right now, but we do have a few locations that people have been kind enough to help us with it. And we appreciate them very much.
I wonder if you're all clear on this motion. So won't you restate what we're gonna do?
It's 100 to 150,000. I mean, the way you worded it was a little wordy. If we do not receive a declaration, it's 100.
Right.
If we receive a declaration with reimbursement, you're asking to spend 150.
That's right. Yeah. And to come out of the license tax range fund and to be replaced with any reimbursements received from any entity.
All right, any more questions or discussion? All right, so did someone make a motion?
And we're going to handle that second, the residential in the second motion, correct?
I thought it was all together.
How do you want to do it?
I don't know. I mean, I would do it separately because there's a lot.
Okay. All right, so we have one motion, and Commissioner Harris has made the motion. So I need a second.
A second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries for that.
Thank you. Now the next item is to allow residential landowners to bring bring vegetative debris only from their residential property out to the county right of way for pickup.
In a to be determined time period in the near future.
Right, and what I would say is, that we can,
You got to suspend and then vote on this again, so it's not including that person. Sorry, I didn't interrupt, but we want to get ahead of ourselves.
No, you're right.
So, to accept any of this stuff, we have to suspend the rules
On the residential plan.
on residential areas as well. So,
I put it in motion, that we suspend the
a
rules.
motion by Commissioner Johnson to suspend the rules.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Copeland, that's got to have a roll call vote.
What's it called, what's the roof on?
The addition of the vegetative debris pickup from residential property, we have what add in.
Yeah.
Okay, motion. Yes, yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. So now we need a motion that we will approve cleanup.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wright.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Johnson. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
I think that's all we have.
Question before you walk away. So, obviously, we gotta get the word out as to these deadlines and the things that we're trying to do. So we need some reasonable, in the next, 2 days or so, I know you gotta coordinate this contract first, but in some reasonable period, we need you to get that word out pretty quickly, to the media and to Facebook, and so that these people know that that's an option.
Okay, so we can put it on the county's website.
Yeah, the county
Yes,
website.
I am here with us tonight.
And I'll also give it the mayor goes and let them know.
And I know we know tonight we're gonna do it, but as far as the time frame when the contract will be here, when the deadline is, all those things you're gonna have to work out.
Deadline.
Yeah, you gotta work that out with the contractor, so that's the information we can get out post this way.
And I'll say, I think it's reasonable to give them to the end of next week. That gives them a weekend, a full, this week, and a full weekend another week. And if the contractor starts next week, then that timing will mesh pretty well.
And I know there's problems.
We already got a contract ready.
Yes, sir, through the ACCA joint bid program, we have a pre-disaster debris cleanup contract, for each region of the state.
Anything else on this matter? Anything else? Russell?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. You may, Mr. Hurd.
Any questions concerning, the disaster declaration? Again, we feel comfortable based on the talk with the state, EMA, and their visit down here, as well as the other counties, that we'll reach that threshold we will for the state.
So, question.
Yes, sir.
All right, you talked about co-ops and that sort of stuff. There's private businesses that donate time and equipment to go out and do debris cleanup. Can they count that?
We can count that as in county service, we cannot count storage. We have to look just at the government entities, on the threshold.
So on the threshold, it has to be spent by
That's just the
co-op.
Co-op is, we can use the co-op, everybody else. And because we use the city of Troy and, Brundage and county and co-ops,
If we get to that point, I didn't think about that, where we're doing the match, let me know, because I know, witnessed several people bring wheel loaders and farm tractors and different things, and I know how to get up to the whole thing.
We just have to see it documented. Of course, like I say, from a volunteer fire standpoint, we can use the CAD system, or they were dispatched, or either they dispatch themselves to go down planting trees and, toss the stuff aside the road, so we can use that as an example.
I know, one assistant to the sheriff's department. So I'm assuming that sheriff could document
As
that.
long as we can document it for our county, we can't count for that threshold right now. And there is, there also from, and of course, everything going on right now, they do fill definitely met that. They normally have to have about 25 structural damages or 25 separate structural damages before they can approach SBA for those type of funds. And they are going to approach them because we did have, just Pike came along, we had over 25. So, that will help individuals. So we're going to shoot for that too. The other thing is, if there's any questions about COVID-19, where we stand with it, on the governor's new order, which you did loosen up all retail businesses, but everything else is pretty much still the same. The questions, or you'd like to see that, I can forward you that order. If you didn't get it, I forward you that email. Did you get a copy of it?
But we have it from the.
Okay.
Thank you, Jared.
Okay, that's all I have.
Alan, do you have anything to add?
No,
From a commission standpoint, we have some executive session issues with security for the new jail, but I'm gonna ask Ken to hang around, and we'll need to go into executive session at the end of the regular meeting for that. Any other commissioner have anything to add? Administrative report?
Okay, I'm gonna slow down a little bit this time. First of all, the application for election expenses related to COVID-19 from the Secretary of State. The state's been awarded, I believe somewhere around $6 million, and there's a match to this money, but the state has said that they'll take care of the match. So we won't be responsible for anything. It's for elections. It's for the next 2 elections that we're going to have. The runoff that was moved to July and the general election in November. It'll allow us to do things such as buying PPEs for the poll workers, have some, sanitizer, just some things put into place to help to prevent the spread of the COVID virus. So on that, we have to go ahead and get these things purchased and ask for reimbursement by, I believe it's June 12th for this first one, and October the 12th. I know it's June and October that we have to do those, but myself and Judge Bunn, since he is responsible to the elections for this part and the poll workers, he is helping to get the list of equipment needed together, and we're going to go ahead and see about getting that purchased, and so that we can go ahead and get the reimbursement request, as soon as possible. So he and I are working on that right now, getting that information together to be able to get that sent in. There aren't any questions on that. The second item is the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program for law enforcement. This is I think it's $58,000 that was set aside for the Sheriff's Department or for law enforcement that we've already been told would be our amount. Anything that we buy or purchase with it, it can be used for equipment, it can be used for PPEs, pretty much anything as long as it is COVID related, personnel, that sort of thing. So right now I'm working with the Sheriff's Department, we're trying to determine what they may need to purchase with those funds. We've been being real careful and real particular about anything that we've been purchasing with COVID funds to market different. We've actually got some information now from the state on some new guidelines on how to account for it in our financial statements for a separate line item, to be sure to keep all those items separate, and we've been keeping those separate so that, because there's just different pots of money that different things are going to come from. So we are working on that. Once the sheriff kind of gets a list together for what he thinks he needs or needs to purchase, he's actually already purchased some things, as you all know, at the jail, and closing it down and being sure that they're safe in there and everything, everyone's protected, the correctional officers and stuff. So we're working on those lists to figure out how we'll apply for those funds and what we can apply for with those funds. I don't have anything set in stone right now, but they are working on it. The third item is the personnel for the Sheriff's Department. He has a resignation from one of his deputies. Right now, they're putting one on. He's not going to go in and replace that position. We'll just leave it open for the time being. And he'll come to us once he's ready to do something there. fourth item that I added to the agenda is that WEX fuel card service agreement. It's, like I told you earlier, it's a contract with the state of Alabama that they have. It just opens up where they can purchase gas from. The current card that they have, I believe it's a Chevron and a Texaco is pretty much the only two gas stations that they can purchase from. And the Chevron's not in Troy anymore. And the Texaco closes, I think, at 8 o'clock. So it doesn't help them when it's the middle of the night and they need fuel, which they very seldom use it when they're in town. It's only when there's the pumps are down at the road department, or something like that. Most of the time it's only used when they have to go out of town to transport people. But they do need, it's just getting harder and harder to find those particular gas stations with some of the places that they go, so they just needed some more options. So we want to look at maybe approving this at the next commission meeting so that we can get that lined up for them. If y'all have any questions on that. The next item that is on the agenda is the jail, the demolition bids for the Dunbar property. TCU has recommended that we actually had one bid that was lowest, but they withdrew their bid because they realized that they had an issue with the bid that they had submitted. So the next lowest bid was by Complete Construction LLC, and that's who we're recommending that you go ahead and vote tonight to move forward with the demolition on that property.
Need a motion to accept the demolition bid.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Harris. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
That's all I'm gonna have on that right now. I did on the COVID-19 that's under our current business. I wanted just to give y'all a little bit of information. First of all, I'm just gonna bring up the sales tax and where we are. I know we've all been watching that and wondering what's gonna happen with that, with all that's going on. As you all know, the shutdown kind of started mid-March here. Where it really got serious, it was April before we really shut down. Some stay-at-home orders were issued for bigger stay-at-home orders. So the majority of the funds that we collected, I mean, not the majority, all the funds that we collected in April are for sales that are made in Pike County in March. Therefore, our funds right now, they are down a little bit as of today, which is what, today is the 28th of April. They're about $30,000 less than what they were for the entire month of April in 2019. So they're not off that much, which is a good thing. This is only sales tax they're talking about. It's general fund sales tax, jail sales tax, SSUT, and tobacco tax. Just any of our sales taxes that we collect for Pike County Commission just for here. That doesn't include any kind of numbers from the school or anything, it's just for the commission. So we're not too bad from where we were last year, and we still have a couple more days to get their money in during this month. So that I was glad to see that. Next month, I'm afraid we may see a different story. We may not. I don't really know. I just there are a lot of retail businesses, smaller businesses and stuff here in the county are shut down during the month of April. And we may see something from that. We may not. But just so you're aware of what's going on, I wanted to let you know where we were on that. The next item that I wanted to discuss with you about the COVID is, I know that like Mr. Hurd said earlier, the governor did not change the stay-at-home orders too much from what they already were. But she's got it noted, I believe it's through May the 15th is what they are right now. I think though at this point in time, we probably need to start making some plans on what we'll do about reopening of our county buildings. I would like for myself and the chairman, vice chairman, someone to go over and speak to the elected officials and department heads at the courthouse and with our other departments tomorrow sometime, and just discuss what we need to ensure our employees have to stay safe once we do open it, and what kind of opening we need to have. We need to restrict the amount of people in the building at a certain time. I've talked to some surrounding counties. Some counties have started opening their buildings already. One of the counties I spoke to, Crenshaw County, they have a lot fewer cases than we do in Pike County. They have fewer people than we do in Pike County. I just think we need to have some input for some of these other departments and stuff before we make some kind of decision like that. I know I talked or heard from Butler County, they have a restriction on the amount of people that they're allowing into their courthouse at a certain time. Now, I will say in Crenshaw County, they are open, but you have to, they're only allowing one person, I believe, in each office, one outside person in each office at a time. So they all have some restrictions, and I think it's time we sit down and start talking about what we want to do, what restrictions we want to have, and we need to ensure that we have the supplies to protect our employees too coming in. We are working on, we have got access to some masks through the EMA department for to provide our employees. We are looking at, there's a couple of the departments over at the courthouse do not have any kind of plexiglass barrier or anything, slider guards or whatever you want to call them. And so I want to look at maybe do we need to bring somebody in to put something up over at those offices, because it doesn't let this disease virus is going to be around a little while, so we need to, make sure we're protecting our people. So we just need to go in and talk to them and kind of see where everybody feels like the best way to go. If we need to make some markings for 6 foot distancing, just what we need to do. Make sure we've got enough hand sanitizer, not only for our employees, but for people coming in. Make sure we have enough disinfectant to keep our facilities clean. We've had issues trying to get even cleaning supplies. So we're working on that. I'm working out with our facility superintendent right now to ensure that we've got that. We're working on maybe getting some thermometers to make sure our employees are staying safe and not sharing their sicknesses with anyone else too in the office. So it's just some things that I think we need to go in and talk to the other department heads about and see where everybody wants to go. But not make any changes to what we're doing right now until we can be sure everybody's on the same page.
Can I just, I'm sorry. CDC's got some good information right now on their website about reopening facilities and reopening operations and stuff like that. So if you need some help with that, if you'd like to get you some of that information, some decision trees and stuff.
Probably, I think it's a great idea to start a conversation. Mr. Hurd, if you would be involved in that too, because that's
So I'm asking for her to see my phone tomorrow.
what we want to do is make sure we're doing this correctly.
I agree with everything McKinsey said. We've talked about this today, but prior to the governor's conference, but my personal opinion would be that we don't change anything we're doing to the May the 15th deadline, and that we take this input from other department heads and use that time period between now and the 15th of May to implement whatever safety procedures need to be put in the courthouse prior to then. But I think the biggest takeaway today was that, and we got to get the economy back going, but we got to do it in a safe manner, because all of it's not open. And if we jump out there too fast in an unsafe way, and we could potentially hinder the businesses that are yet to be reopened by making this worse. We all got to be responsible.
I think that the people of Pike County have been wonderful. I've not really heard any concerns or problems with how we've tried to make everything work, being online or through phone calls and all that. So I'm thankful everybody's taking the time to work with us on that.
Well, and that was a conversation me and McKinsey had today, that, because my first question was, all right, what complaints have we got that people couldn't get their business taken care of here? Because if they do, we need to address them, and that's something we need to try to figure out and make accommodations. And you're correct, I don't put words in your mouth, but to your knowledge, we hadn't had any complaints, or none of the other elected officials have come to us.
I have not had any person or other elected official come to us and say that they had a problem that they couldn't.
Those departments have been doing a great job of addressing the needs of the citizens like we are. So I agree with what Mr. Johnson said. We want to make a plan, be ready as soon as we can open back up. But since they've done such a great job over there being able to take care of everybody, there's no need to jump out and try to do something different.
Anybody else? Liz?
I think that's everything. Our next scheduled meeting will be May the 11th.
All right. So, nothing else come before the commission at this time. We need a motion to go into executive session. Motion by Commissioner